Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got a lot of news I'd like to share with you in today's video. So, we're going to start off talking about Israel, as last week I gave you guys an update that Israel may have begun supplying Ukraine with Russian weapons that were seized during the war with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and also during the fall of Bashar al Assad's regime in Syria. There was a lot of weapons that were captured there as well. So Israel's been sitting on a lot of seized Russian weapons for months now, and I was actually wondering what they were going to do with this, and all of a sudden we're starting to hear as of last week that Israel was potentially planning to send a lot of these weapons over to Ukraine. So just today, the Telegraph, a mainstream news outlet, actually confirmed this, that these weapons are being sent to Ukraine now. And we heard last week that there was multiple C-17 transport planes that were coming from, I think it was Ramstein Air Base in Germany, heading over to Israel. And then after Israel was heading over to Poland to drop off these supplies. Okay, so this is very big. Lots of these seized Russian weapons will be very compatible with the Ukrainian army, and this should help them out quite a bit. Okay, so this is a video coming out from Israel recently of a seized, what appears to be some sort of radar system that is Russian made. Okay, so lots of weapons were confiscated from Lebanon and also from Syria. Anything from like AKs, bazooka launchers, anti-tank rocket launching systems, all kinds of things. Apparently, even some of the Israelis were saying they found some state-of-the-art weapons as well that came from Russia. I think this was from Hezbollah in Lebanon, where they found those at. So I'm going to talk to you guys about all these details. This is very big for Ukraine now that we have this confirmation that this is true, and it looks like these weapons are headed over there, okay? So we also have reports today of what appears to be a HIMARS strike from Ukraine. I think this was most likely somewhere in eastern Ukraine, maybe in the Donetsk region. We had a 5-story building, took direct hits, and most likely Russian military personnel were inside of that. Also have another report in the Ural region, just north of the Kursk region in Russia. There was an attack over there on a UAV storage site. Looks like over 200 Shahed drones were destroyed by the Ukrainians. And also last night, some drones entering into the Ver region, which is just a little bit north of the Ural region as well. So most likely that's how those drones got destroyed as well, was probably some sort of drone attack from Ukraine, as lots of drones were headed pretty much in the direction of Moscow, but we don't have any reports of the Moscow region being attacked, but definitely some drones entering into Russia last night. So let's go ahead and hop into this, guys. We're going to jump on over to this mainstream news report real quick. Let me give you some of this information regarding these Israeli weapons, or I guess I should say Russian weapons that were captured by Israel that they're sending to Ukraine. Okay, so it says here from the Telegraph, and from the Yahoo News reported this as well. Israel sends weapons captured in Lebanon to Ukraine. And this just coming out yesterday, actually, Sunday, January 26, 2025. And I was not here yesterday, so I figured I'd bring this up anyway. So it says down here, Israel's considering sending Soviet and Russian-made weapons captured in Lebanon to Ukraine, with signs transfers may be underway. Israel reportedly met with Ukrainian diplomats on Tuesday to discuss a weapons transfer. Since then, U.S. military cargo planes have been tracked flying from Israel to an airbase in eastern Poland. There are signs that Israel's begun supplying Ukraine with Soviet and Russian-made weapons. Two majors, a pro-Russian military blog on the Telegram social messaging site, told its 1.2 million subscribers on Sunday, posted dozens of shoulder-mounted missiles laid out on hard-baked ground, as well as two screen grabs of a U.S. military plane flying from Ramstein Air Base in Germany to Hatzarim Air Base in Israel, and then to Shahed, I think is how you pronounce that, in Poland, near the border with Ukraine. This is a town or city that is one of the major pit stops before weapons go into Ukraine. So most likely that's indicating these are weapons that were headed over there. So this is kind of a picture that was being shared from this pro-Russian blogger on Telegram, I believe, showing some of the weapons that may have been sent over there. Okay, so lots of weapons going to Ukraine. It says here around 60% of the weapons captured by Israel during the fight with Hezbollah in Lebanon in 2024 were made by Soviet Union and Russia, according to reports. These include sniper rifles and modern Kornet anti-tank missiles given to Hezbollah by Syria, which had been a staunch ally of Russia under Bashar al-Assad's regime. It comes after the Ukrainian embassy thanked Sharon Haskell, Israel's deputy foreign minister, for asking the Israeli parliament to approve sending the captured weapons to Ukraine. It is noted that this initiative would be an important step in recognizing the common threats facing both countries. The Ukrainian side expressed hopes for a positive solution to this issue, the Ukrainian embassy said. That weapons transfer deal was a private proposal initiated by Ms. Haskell, according to the Jerusalem Post. Vladimir Zilinskys, the Ukrainian president, also met with his Israeli counterpart Isaac Herzog this week to discuss important issues related to the cooperation between Ukraine and Israel. Israel has reportedly, historically, adopted a neutral policy against Russia, but has become more aligned with Ukraine due to deepening ties between Moscow and Iran. Okay, so there's a little bit more information on this article. I will cite it down below for you guys, and if you want to go check out the rest of that, you're more than welcome to. But now we're going to hop on over to X, and I've got several things I want to share with you guys over here. So let's jump on over to Intermarium 24. Israel's begun supplying Ukraine with Russian weapons captured in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria. So this is a similar post to what I showed you guys last week. Just wanted to show you for reference here of the C-17 planes that were originally coming from Germany over to Israel down here, and then they were eventually flying up to eastern Poland, okay? And this is one of the pit stops again, where a lot of these weapons show up, whether it comes from the West or Israel like we see here. So this is very big, and it makes sense that Israel would send these weapons over to Ukraine. As what are they going to do with these? It makes more sense for Ukraine to use these back against the Russians, while at the same time Iran has been sending a lot of weapons to Hezbollah and Syria and all these different proxy groups in the Middle East, and many of these are Russian weapons. So this is kind of like a thank you gift back to Ukraine, as Ukraine is going to now start using these weapons against Russian soldiers. Okay, so very big update today. Now let's move on to Max 24. Strike possibly HIMARS on a 5-story building in which Russian military personnel were located. Military vehicles, camouflage nets, etc. are visible. Okay, so it looks like this could have potentially been a HIMARS strike, and I don't know exactly where this took place, but I'm thinking maybe this is somewhere in eastern Ukraine. Most likely in the Donetsk region is where this attack took place. But I want to show you guys a video footage of the devastation here. This first video is kind of like an video that was taken after, probably hours later. We can just see smoke, and then this one happened during the nighttime. We can see the fires on the building. So we'll start with this first video here.
Все, что осталось от дома. Вазик аж от стенки выкинула.
All right, from this video, we can see major destruction to this 5-story building. We can see a lot of fires had broke out here, and in the very middle, completely got leveled. That's probably where it majority got hit from these HIMARS missiles, most likely incoming. But I'm pretty sure these were missiles being used. I'm not sure if it was ATACMS or something else, but we did get this building leveled here, and most likely Russian soldiers were inside of this at the time. Okay, so now another video coming up.
Да, они что-то свистят там. Ебать, он и край не сложился, ну что. Охуеть, блядь. Просто пиздец. Это пиздец, ебать.
All right, this video looks like it was filmed shortly after the initial attack. We can see a lot of the fires that broke out here on this building. And if you look closely, you can see that giant gap there in the middle of this 5-story building. Okay, so if I get more updates on this, more information on what happened here, I'll let you guys know. But it looks like a very major attack, most likely with HIMARS being used on Russian soldiers. Okay, now moving on to NOAA reports. Ukrainian Air Force, in coordination with other defense forces, struck Russian UAV storage sites in the Ural region. Concrete structures storing thermobaric warheads for drones were hit, causing strong secondary detonations. Over 200 Shahed drones will no longer threaten Ukraine. Okay, so it looks like we had another major attack on a drone storage warehouse somewhere inside of Russia or in the Ural region. So again, the Ural region, just a little bit north of the Kursk region, is where this attack took place. So Ver region, where we're going to talk about in just a moment as well, is just a little bit north of Ural also. So that's kind of the direction these drones were heading, was kind of towards Moscow, but we don't have any reports of attacks directly in Moscow, okay? So now we've got a couple videos coming out from the Ver region showing explosions over here. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this first video. It's going to be a little quiet in the beginning, and then all of a sudden you're going to hear a major explosion in the background. A lot of these car alarms are going to go off. Take a look at this. All right, we'll go ahead and pause it there. The rest of this video is mainly just these car alarms going off. But yes, looked like something did explode over here in the Ver region. Don't know exactly what was being targeted yet. If I do get some information on that, I'll let you guys know. But we did have some drones entering the Ver region last night. Here's another video also showing some drones entering into Ver the Ver region of Russia again. Excuse me, from Max 24. Let's go ahead and take a look at this, guys. 18 seconds long.
Бля, дрон летит нахуй.
Бля, запиши нахуй.
БПЛА это, да?
Да. Дрон летит, блядь.
Бля, не видно.
Охуеть.
Бля.
It looks like some of the residents of the Ver region were able to capture some of these drones entering into this region. So again, don't know exactly what the initial target was. It does look like we did have some explosions over here last night, but pretty much every single day we've been seeing Ukrainian drones flying into Russia. And if I get more information, I'll let you guys know later. Now for Max 24, President Zilinskys arrived in Poland to participate in events marking the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. In addition, meetings with Macron and European Council President Antonio Costa are planned. Okay, so we got video footage here of Vladimir Zilinskys arriving in Poland, and he was there to participate in the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, the Nazi death camp back during World War II. Also going to meet with Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, and also the European Council President Antonio Costa today as well. So go ahead and take a look at this. All right, just a quick clip of Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, getting off his presidential aircraft as he's arriving in Poland for this 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I've got a little bit of information regarding this. This is from Volodymyr Zelensky on X. On January 27th, the world honors the memory of the victims of the Holocaust. It was the Nazis' deliberate attempt to erase an entire nation, to kill all its people, and destroy everything that reminded the world of the Jewish nation, 6 million victims. The crime of the Holocaust must never be repeated, yet sadly the memory of it is gradually fading, and the evil that seeks to destroy the lives of entire nations still exists today. We must all fight for the sake of life and remember that indifference is the breeding ground for evil. We must overcome hatred, which leads to cruelty and murder. We must not allow forgetfulness to take root. It is everyone's mission to do everything possible to ensure that evil does not prevail. On the eve of this day, together with rabbis, representatives of the diplomatic corps, and the team of our state, we honor the memory of the men and women, adults and children, millions who were killed in the Holocaust. Okay, so unfortunately, I can't play the sound in this video. It does have music, but I can briefly show you guys this video of Volodymyr Zelensky here commemorating the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. So this was a major event being held today. You can see a lot of people here paying their respects for all the lives that were lost. So just wanted to take a moment and let you guys know about this, that this was something going on today. And I also have a report coming out from Vladimir Putin as well, because Russia was also celebrating today with this anniversary. So take a look at this from Anton Yurychenko. Putin compared World War II and Russia's special military operations, saying that Russian soldiers are defending their native land, defending our interests and the security of Russia. He conveniently omitted that Russia is the aggressor in today's war. So I got a quick clip coming out from Vladimir Putin as they were also holding an event to pay their respects for the liberation of Auschwitz 80 years ago. So go ahead and take a look at this video real quick.
В этом году мы будем отмечать 80-летие Великой Победы. Он объявлен в России годом защитника Отечества, как знак нашей неугасаемой памяти о событиях Великой Отечественной войны, во славу грандиозного подвига поколения победителей и в честь наших сегодняшних героев, участников специальной военной операции. Они защищают родную землю, отстаивают наши интересы, безопасность России. Они здесь, в зале. Давайте их поприветствуем, поаплодируем. В этом году мы будем отмечать.
All right, so a very interesting statement here being held from Vladimir Putin. If you notice here towards the end, he says that the defenders of the special military operation, he states they're defending their native land, defending our interests and the security of Russia. Let me know if you guys agree with that down below, if that's what the defenders is what he's claiming. The Russian army is defending Russia's native land here, okay, inside of Ukraine whenever they attacked Ukraine. Let me know what you think of that down below. Now from Ukrainian Review, the Russians dropped an aerial bomb on the 9-story building in Stepnohursk, if I'm saying that right, Hirsk, in the Zaporizhzhia region. 4 people were injured. The bomb destroyed apartments from the 5th to the 9th floor. Okay, so not only did we have a massive strike on the Russians, but the Russians also launching a major attack in the Zaporizhzhia region once again on what appears to be residential infrastructure. Okay, looks like an apartment building. This one looks to be maybe at least 6 or 8 floors high, or 9-story building, it says here, and completely leveling this building. We can see here in the photos. And this is multiple times. We've been seeing this a lot recently, especially in the Zaporizhzhia region, Kherson regions, just being hit very hard with all these Russian bombings. So that was a new attack being reported today, okay, now in the Zaporizhzhia region. Now for Max 24, Russia occupied half of Ukraine's resources. They fully repaid the cost of the war, says ex-commander-in-chief Viktor Muzenko. Okay, I thought this was interesting information, as you know, we do know that Ukraine is very resource rich, on the eastern side of their country. And we also heard just a couple weeks back, also near the city of Pokrovsk on the eastern side in the Donetsk region, that there was a major coking coal mine over there that had to close down their operations as the Russians are continuing to close in on that area. So definitely lots of resources on the eastern side of Ukraine and southern side that Russia has been able to gather up and take control of. And could this potentially pay for their war? And is this also maybe helping out with their war effort? I think definitely it could be. We even heard this with Vladimir Zilinskys just the other day when he was holding a press conference with Maya Sandu, the president of Moldova, talking about Transnistria and how they're having that energy crisis. He was mentioning that, a lot of the coal that the Russians stole from the, many of the coal plants on the eastern side of Ukraine, they were sending that coal over to Transnistria, okay? So initially it was already Ukrainian coal that was headed over there. It's just the Russians were stealing it and sending it over to Transnistria. So that was a new update. Pretty crazy to think about that. Also from Noel Reports, cool, a German supplied armored recovery vehicle. Not sure how to pronounce this. I think it's Berg Panzer. I don't know if it's Berg or Berg Panzer 2, upgraded with Contact 1 reactive armor, which is now serving with the HUR Kraken unit. Okay, so take a look at this. I thought this thing looked pretty sweet. Look at all that reactive armor on the side, explosive reactive armor, I should say. Yeah, it just looks pretty cool. Just wanted to show you guys a new vehicle that came from Germany, okay? So now also from Visegrad 24, the Belarusian opposition protesting in Warsaw, Poland against dictator Lukashenko's fake presidential election. Okay, so yesterday, from what I understand, we have the Belarusian leader re-elected again, Alexander Lukashenko, and he's been in power for over 30 years now, and now he's re-elected again. These were actually some images coming out from Warsaw, Poland, which Poland is right next door to Belarus, and many people there were protesting for Alexander Lukashenko's winning of that election once again, and I think he won somewhere around 86 or 87% of the vote. So you guys can let me know whether you believe that's true or not. But again, he's been in power for about 30 years now inside of Belarus, so pretty insane. Now for Max 24, the Russians publish a photo of a shot-down decoy missile or false target, ADM-160B MALD, which we launched to distract Russian air defense. Okay, so here's a new, I guess we can call a fake or decoy missile that was fired into Russia to, to basically make Russia waste their air defenses. We know air defense missiles are very expensive, and these are probably very cheap to produce. So it's just basically a decoy missile that was used by the Ukrainians and made Russia wastes one of their air defense missiles to try to shoot this thing down. Okay, so that was a new report coming out today. Now from Igor Sushko. Russia fire at an electric substation in occupied Republic of Ingushetia, if I'm saying that right, left 62,000 residents without electricity. All right, so this Republic of Ingushetia is very close to Chechnya, where Grozny's at, where the Chechen army is. This is far south in Russia, close to Georgia as well. Okay, so we've got a new video here of a fire in an electrical substation. Not sure if it was caused by a drone or whatnot, but take a look at this. All right, pretty crazy fire breaking out here on this electrical substation. Now, if this wasn't some sort of sabotage event or maybe just some sort of failure here at this facility, I'm thinking that maybe this could have been some partisan groups down here. We've been seeing lots of, like even Ukraine's GUR, their Directorate Intelligence, been launching attacks all across Russia, just setting communications on fire, sometimes electrical substations like this. So if I get more information on that, I will give you guys another update on that at a later time. Now for Max 24, the consequences of a shortage of heavy armored vehicles in the Russian army. So take a look at this. This is something we've been talking about a lot recently, is that, the Russians are very short on vehicles. So we've been seeing them driving all kinds of jalopies, just vehicles like this right here that are converted to be used for the military. And also there's even a warehouse somewhere inside of Russia that's constructing armored vehicles, but they're homemade armored vehicles. These are not like, literal military vehicles. They're homemade. They're building them with whatever materials they can find. So this is a new picture coming out showing Russian units heading to the front lines using whatever they can find, even a quad back here. So pretty crazy picture coming out from there today. Now take a look at this from Igor Sushko. Russian soldiers handcuffed to each other to prevent their escape on the way to the front line to assault Ukrainian positions. So I thought this was a pretty insane video. Looks like they're now starting to pretty much handcuff all the Russian soldiers to each other as they head to the front line so no one tries to jump out and escape and get away from battle. Take a look at this.
Едем на БЗ в наручниках, бля.
All right, so I can imagine that a lot of these Russian soldiers that don't want to be a part of this fight would try to desert and flee if they could. So it looks like some of the Russian commanders, maybe parts of some of the units in the Russian military, are now starting to order that many of these soldiers be handcuffed to each other as they are being transported on these vehicles, heading over to the front line so that way they don't desert or escape. Okay, so pretty crazy video coming out there. Also, now for more translated Dmitry, Russian soldier films cluster munitions exploding in close proximity to his position. This video just came out today, and I want to show you guys this pretty insane video. Take a look. All right, so it looks like there was some major attacks going on over here in this area, and we can see a lot of explosions over in the background. Looks like a Russian vehicle on fire right here, and then we hear a lot of those cluster munitions come in, those little bomblets dropping all over the place. So I'm not sure, was this HIMARS or ATACMS? Most likely it was probably HIMARS cluster munitions being used over here. So pretty insane video right there. Now from Tendar, the refinery in Ryzen was struck once again last night. The target is almost 480 kilometers or 300 miles from the Ukrainian border and was struck now repeatedly within 48 hours. Okay, so this actually came out yesterday morning on January 26th. I was not here because I'm off on Sundays. Most of you know that. But we talked a lot about this Ryzen oil refinery last week, okay? And from what I understand, I think this thing got attacked 3 times just in the last week. So it got attacked sometime like mid last week. And then towards the end of this weekend, I think it was like Saturday and Sunday, both times got attacked again. So Ukraine has just been double tapping a lot of these oil refineries, oil depots. Many times they get attacked. We had one down in the Verdansk region as well, kind of down here in this area, that got double tapped. And it looks like this one may have gotten attacked up to 3 times. Okay, so imagine this is one of the largest oil refineries in Russia being attacked multiple times with UAV drones. And this was a new picture coming out showing new fires at this facility. So just want to give you an update on that if you didn't hear about that yesterday. Now from Igor Sushko, Ukraine, nearly 50% of the domestically produced Antonov AN-196 Lyuty drones now reach their targets past Russian air defenses. 1,000 kilometer plus range, 75 kilogram warhead, 165 pounds. The vast majority of strikes on Russian oil infrastructure are conducted by these drones. So isn't that crazy, guys? 50%. I think it was much lower than that before. And I'm thinking that most likely the reason why 50% are reaching into Russia now, at least a large percentage of the region, is because they're producing so many of these now. Okay, there's so many different types of drones that Ukraine is mass producing, and this is why we've been able to see so many repeated attacks of drones entering into Russia. And we also heard just a little while back that the U.S. secretly funded, I think, something like 1.5 billion into Ukraine's drone industry to upgrade their drones. So this is probably also a big reason why as well. Okay, so Ukraine definitely has a lot of drones now, which is very good for them. I think they're trying to work on producing like 30,000 just this year. Now from Vicegrad 24, breaking Swedish, Finnish, and Estonian warships have seized or intercepted 2 vessels suspected of destroying a Swedish-Latvian undersea fiber optic cable. Sweden and Finland have surrounded the Russian Shadow Fleet liquefied natural gas tanker Peskov, while the Swedish military has seized the Bulgarian-owned bulker MV Vezin. Okay, so this was actually a report breaking a lot yesterday, and again, I was not here, so I wanted to briefly bring this up, and I think we have a major update today. Do a little bit more research on this, but I heard that there was potentially an actual Chinese vessel that had severed another cable, okay? I think it was coming from Latvia to Sweden. There was another cable that was cut being reported yesterday. These are some of the radars showing these vessels being intercepted over here, okay, inside the Baltic Sea. So I'm going to give you guys an update on that later today and talk about that some more, as we've been discussing so many of these underwater cables, sea cables being destroyed in the Baltic Sea. And this is all at the same time when NATO has launched a major operation to better protect the Baltic Sea and monitor it better, with a lot of military aircraft and their navy. They're monitoring the Baltic Sea very heavily right now, and it looks like we even had another cable being cut while they're monitoring it. Okay, now for military news, UA British volunteers have donated another 11 vehicles to Ukrainian Defense Forces. This time it was new vehicles, including pickup trucks and recovery vehicles. Okay, so new photo coming out from the Brits showing new vehicles that have been donated to Ukraine. Looks like even some ambulances here too, which is really cool. We know a lot of these get destroyed in double tap strikes, especially in Kharkiv recently. These ambulances show up, soon after there's some sort of strike, and then Russia will smash that target again. Many times, a lot of these emergency crews get destroyed, and the emergency crew members as well, they get killed in these attacks also. Okay, so that's cool. They're getting some ambulances there also. Okay, now from KVIST, Poland's president Andrzej, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, Duda, said that gas flows from Russia to Western Europe should never be restored, even if Russia and Ukraine reach a peace deal. They should be dismantled in response to the German AfD talking about restoring them. This was reported by the BBC. I 100% agree. Blow it up again. All right, so this was a report that came out, I think, yesterday. It says Poland warns against restarting Russian gas supplies. Okay, so apparently the president here coming out and saying they should dismantle all the natural gas flows that come from Russia, all these pipelines and everything, just completely destroy them and dismantle them. That way Germany doesn't try to, come back and say, hey, we're going to start getting gas from Russia again. That way there's no countries that, feel the need that they need to go back to Russian gas, because Europe's been trying to move away from that. So that was a new report coming out today, or yesterday, excuse me. Now from Anton Yeroshenko, DPRK military temporarily retreats from Russia's Kursk region due to heavy losses, according to Sky News. There was no official confirmation. North Korean troops appear to have temporarily pulled back from the front line in Russia after suffering heavy losses. Interviews with several Ukrainian troops reveal details about how the North Koreans have been fighting since they arrived on the battlefield in Russia's Kursk region last month. There is an obvious initial lack of awareness from the threats from drones and artillery, with North Korean soldiers attacking on foot like in World War II in groups of 20, 40, or even 60, making them easy targets. Brainwashing, which means they continue to advance despite being under Ukrainian fire and having comrades in arms killed and wounded around them. A desire to remove evidence of their presence from the war zone, as North Koreans in white helmets were seen trying to rescue the wounded and dead. A refusal to be taken alive, which claims that North Koreans have been seen blowing themselves up with grenades rather than risk capture. Polls even claimed a North Korean has been heard shouting for General Kim Jong-un before killing himself. Poor coordination between North Korean and Russian troops due to the language barrier. One soldier claimed that radio intercepts showed that the North Koreans accidentally targeted Russian positions. He also said that they would storm the Ukrainian positions, suffering casualties, but Russian troops would not be able to capitalize on the gains. They have better equipment than many Russians, including rifles and uniforms, but no heavy armor, since the North Koreans move only on foot and use golf buggies to carry ammunition. One of Pulse's men, who took part in the operation, was known by the codename Coach, said he was surprised that the North Koreans had only ammunition and chocolate as supplies to sustain their forces in battle. Not a single soldier had a water bottle, he said. They're counting on breaking through, taking up positions, and then eating and surviving off our supplies. I think they'll be back soon, a Ukrainian Special Forces commander said, speaking at a secret base in northeastern Ukraine. So this was a new report that came out from Sky News, kind of a longer video, so I'm not really going to show that. This kind of sums it up all in one. But the bulk of what this information is talking about is many of the North Korean soldiers have actually retreated due to many heavy losses, okay? We've been hearing a lot about that. When it talks about them attacking in like groups of 20, 40, 60, okay, it makes it very easy for the Ukrainian soldiers just kind of wipe them out, especially if they're not used to these drones that are being used. The FPV drones are obviously very devastating. And if the North Koreans are grouped up in bunches of 20, 40, or 60, like it states here, then yeah, it's going to be very easy to wipe them out. So looks like some of the North Korean units, or maybe a majority of them, are starting to pull back as they're being utterly destroyed over here in the Kursk region from the Ukrainians. Now from Anton Gerashenko, in Russia's Kursk region near the village of Malaya Lokhnya, warriors from the 1st Battalion of the 22nd Mechanized Brigade defeated an entire battalion of North Korean Special Forces in fierce fighting in a few weeks. In January, even officers joined the attack on our infantry. 3 officers with Lieutenant Colonel documents were killed in close combat, and the body of one of them with all of his weapons was pulled across the contact line by Ukrainian defenders to conduct a quick inspection of how Koreans are equipped. The video shows a North Korean lieutenant colonel who was a company commander and was recently killed during the combat operation. Ukrainian forces managed to turn him over to both Ukrainian and South Korean intelligence officials. The commander, besides having a diary written in Korean, a Chinese-made radio, and several grenades, was also equipped with 2 weapons, a Vepr 12 semi-automatic shotgun, likely for use against Ukrainian drones, and an AK-12. Okay, so it does look like they're pretty well equipped in terms of weaponry. And unfortunately, I can't show you guys this video. It does show some dead bodies, so I think it's going to be a little too gruesome to show here on YouTube. But this was some new information coming out today, okay? So it looks like there was a large group of North Koreans that were defeated recently as well, okay? So this is more information showing that the North Koreans are taking heavy losses, primarily inside the Kursk region, okay? Now from Max 24, Budanov said that if nothing has changed, the front may collapse and there will be problems. People's Deputy Dunda also reported that the statement of the head of GUR was taken out of context by media. So I guess some of the mainstream medias were picking up this story that Kirill Budanov, the head of the GUR, which is their main directorate of intelligence in Ukraine, he was stating, I guess, that the front may collapse or something along the lines of that, and maybe mainstream media was picking that up and feeding that information out to the public incorrectly. So I don't know. We have heard this kind of story before in the past, that the front is weak in certain areas. We have seen Ukraine pulling back in some parts of like the Donetsk region recently. And we know like in Pokrovsk, they're slowly starting to be surrounded down there. The Russians are closing in, but Ukraine is still holding on very strong in the city of Pokrovsk. So, at some point, could the front line break in certain areas? Yeah, maybe. We've heard this from Vladimir Zilinskys before in the past, where he states that some areas are facing heavy pressure more than others because Ukraine's got to cover very long distance of their country, and they only have 800,000 soldiers or so in their military that they got to cover all these different regions of Ukraine. So we'll see if that'll be the case, but that was a new report today. Now, for Max 24, negotiations on a peaceful settlement of the war in Ukraine may begin in April to May. A meeting between Putin and Trump may take place before them, says Hurriyet. The parties will first reach an agreement on a ceasefire. Okay, so this is actually something that I talked about last week that we might see probably in April or May, is kind of what I'm estimating is most likely when we'll see some sort of major negotiations taking place between Russia and Ukraine. Maybe they'll end this war, maybe they won't. Who really knows here? But at the end of the day, this war could definitely continue. But so far, it doesn't look like we have any for sure agreements on a ceasefire. So if we do get that, I'll let you guys know. Finally, a couple more things to let you know before we get you out of here. From Max 24, Ukrainian air defense shot down 58 out of 104 Shahed UAVs, 39 UAVs suppressed by electronic warfare. So it looks like we had a good majority of these drones that were incoming to Ukraine last night from Russia that were either shot down or taken down from electronic warfare. So looks like 104 in total, but majority of them, probably 80% or more, being brought down, okay? Now, from the Kyiv Independent, these are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of January 27th, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. All right, so here we go. Russia's losses as of January 27th, 1,430 troops, 12 AFVs, 59 vehicles and fuel tanks, 3 tanks, 16 artillery systems, 74 UAVs, and 1 special equipment being destroyed, reportedly from the Ukrainian side from their intelligence. Okay, so lots of big updates coming out today, and an absolutely huge story that Israel's starting to supply weapons for Ukraine now. These are seized Russian weapons from the war between Hezbollah and also from Syria whenever Syria fell and Bashar al-Assad fled. So lots of good updates today. Just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of all this information. I want to thank you so much for tuning back in today. If you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. With that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.